I know I've been vocal before about the sense of awareness that battery electric seems to have among the public, whether it's on the TV, on radio stations, the actual stations that are popping up everywhere. I don't think there's any doubt it's way out in front in terms of messaging, rhetoric, and the understanding. Would you agree with that? Do you think there's anything we could learn from the marketing and campaigns around battery electric, or has it simply just been a case of availability?
Well, without sounding like a broken record, and apologies for the noise in the background, this is the curse of being back in offices. But no, I mean, without sounding like a broken record, I think the one thing the battery electric vehicle industry have done very well is talk about value, right? I mean, no one was really talking about the Nissan Leaf, but everyone was talking about the Tesla. And why were they talking about Teslas, right? Teslas were cool. They were exciting. They had autonomous driving. They had all these features and gimmicks that made battery electric seem like a better vehicle than an internal combustion engine. And that's what got people galvanized to buy battery electric vehicles. And, you're talking about the UK context. If we look at GridServe is a company in the UK that builds EV charging forecourts. One of the things that they've done is they've changed the experience for people of going to what we would have called a petrol station, but now is an EV charging station, right? And they've made it really nice. It's got really fantastic restaurants, really fantastic shops, like spa, gym, the sort of things that actually go, if I'm going to spend half an hour here, it's actually really nice to spend half an hour here. And actually there's a load of things I can do rather than it being a really miserable experience. And I think that's the sort of lesson that we need to be taking from this. There are all sorts of issues with battery electric. It's still expensive, right? There's still the hassle of how do you charge it? The infrastructure problem has still not been resolved, and there are still reliability questions. But people are talking about it because they're looking at it from a different user experience. And people like that different user experience increasingly, and people are doing a very good job of explaining why that is interesting. We have not done that as an industry for green hydrogen, and I think that's a disservice to us. And I think, despite some very clever campaigns by Hyundai and by Toyota, and there's a great fuel cell electric vehicle where they're in the desert in the US and they're drinking water out of the back of the car and all these sort of good things. They're great gimmicks, but they don't actually change the perception in people's minds about how does hydrogen allow them to consume energy in a way that's different and in a positive difference rather than it being actually a hassle. We need to do a better job of that. And I think that is something that an industry group has to work on. And I think that was one of the things that I hope groups like the UKHFCA can do more of, because I think that it has to be led by industry groups. It's too easy for one company to say it's fantastic and everyone to go, well, that's very self-serving. We need to actually get out there and work with consumer groups. We need to go and work with industry bodies, and we need to work with trade groups and government to make sure that those messages are much clearer.